out. So we have an argument about that before, but we can continue that later. But I think that it's perhaps what you're doing is when you're making the piece and you make a decision about you'll have a different clay here, you'll leave this section white. Oh, that would be nice if I actually extended that. It is a kind of a drawing. It's a drawing by making. Does that make sense? Does that make sense? It is a kind of a drawing and it's a discovery.
No.
No. Okay.
The reason I love Olive
Yeah.
is because you shouldn't think.
Okay. Okay.
One of the most interesting
That's cut off at the knees, isn't it?
one of the most interesting things about Olive,
Yeah.
like in Japan, it's really interesting. All the like, and there's two types of Olive potters. There's ones which are doing Olive, and there's ones which are just copying to sell. Generally, the ones who are doing it and trying to invent new things, they all just drink shit. Very wise. I mean, he was drunk constantly.
He writes off cars.
Yeah. Although he's weird, it was his assistant. I asked him before I left.
But we won't go there. But
they all drink.
yes.
And the reason they drink, I think it's twofold. People who drink, who make pots in Japan, end up, they like Olive. But then, when you're making Olive, you can't think. You shouldn't think.
Right, okay.
So, when I'm making pots which I think might challenge me, I'll not drink. So I don't think, so I'm not trying to achieve anything specific. So I mean, it's more of a...
Is it sort of like trying to take away some of your consciousness?
Yeah. You have to completely think of like, oh, when I'm making pots, I don't think, is this good?
Or I don't
Is
want it.
this shape the one that I want? It's like, well, okay. I'll have like an image in my brain of kind of what I want to do, but then after that it's just like, well, who gives a shit?
Yeah.
Because I wanted to make that, but it turned out like this. Okay, that's fine. So I mean, when I don't think.
So also the act of doodling, I guess, which brings it back to your argument.
Yes,
That is a form of doodling, sketching, but in doodling.
yes, and it's to not. I'm putting myself centre with this, but I started decorating on pots after being, decoration and the word, and I was told I had to start thinking about decoration. And once I started, I couldn't stop, and more was not enough, and I had to do more, and it was like a drug. And I had to do it, and I
You see a
remember.
white spot on the pot and you go, well, I could decorate
Yes,
that.
yes, exactly. Where's the blank spot? Oh, there's the base. I hadn't thought about that. And I said to my partner at the time, I don't know where this is all coming from. And he said, don't you? He said, have you looked at the telephone pad? And there's A4 sheets there, clipped together, and he'd been saving them. And they were covered with doodles that I had absolutely no idea about. So I do understand
Have
that.
you put this on pots?
Not consciously, no, because it would be a drawing and I'd have to go back and do it.
So by not thinking and when you're doing your pots, does that increase the number of errors or failures in a sense?
Yeah.
This
But-
is risk factor.
Yeah. So I mean, when I'm doing workshops or anything, and I explain to people, decoration is different. So I'm not decoration. It's like anal retentive. It's very slow. It has to be. It is. It's so anal retentive. You just sit there and you have to be like relaxed and. But when you're throwing work, when I'm doing workshops, I always say to people, think of it as you're going downstairs and flight of stairs. If you're walking, there's no risk just as fast as you're nearly tripping up, but you don't trip up. And that's kind of where you have to be with making pots, I think. I think I throw fast. Everybody says they do. And yeah, I think I throw fast. And the reason is because if I don't throw quickly, then I have too much control. I don't want to spread pots. I think a lot of European people, before I went to Japan, I was in the European wood firing kind of influence of make pot and distort. Which means in Japan it's all very accurate and it's through speed that you get distortion when thinking about distortion. So the non-thinking. Throw fast, do strange things with clay techniques. So you're always running down the staircase but trying not to fall over but you have to be tripping.
Does that come into some kind of fueled version, a kind of a mad fueled version of Csikszentmihalyi's flow, where you are? Do you know about that mental state flow, where you're repeating something, but you're not quite repeating it, and it's at the edge of your competency, so it has enough to keep moving you forward, but not enough, not so little that you get bored. And it's almost meditative, and I can imagine it could be a fuel version. It's Csikszentmihalyi always sounds a lot calmer, but and it's about almost like meditating, I think, but the same kind of
Never thought of it.
Sorry, okay, well that was a sign. It just occurred to me when you talked about that and the way in which you're doing it, and you do it fast and you do it at the edge of your competency, so you're not going down the staircase so fast you fall over.
You know, in classical music, they say you have to have 20,000 hours of pure, practice. I think it's 20.
Classical music possibly 20,000. We'll go with that.
Dedicated, actually, not just playing, but actually thinking of everything.
But Janet,
I'm sure it's 20,000 hours.
do you want to make a few comments? And do you want to make a few comments? But you've got all those hours of throwing and play in your body. So by the time you get to sort of doing your decoration or doodling or making, it's part of every cell of your body. So it's different to just letting go. It's part of who you are, a part of
I
anyone.
was really lucky because since I had to fight with the teacher at East Sydney, right? And
Shall
then,
remain nameless.
Maybe after a few years.
and then I ended up at Sturt, but then when I was at Sturt, since I wanted to make Japanese pots, and I had learnt enough at Tech to be able to throw cylinders, bowls, make an incompetent teapot. So I could, throw a bush, I suppose throw a bush. But since I wanted to make pots which were, is it asymmetrical? I forget. Yeah.
That's wobbly.
Yeah, that one.
No.
So I actually started throwing off center. No, purposely wooden center box. So that 20,000 hours muscle memory, I never had the on center muscle memory. Which, I mean, I've had so many friends over the years, and let's make T-balls and drink and stuff, and they're really competent, throwers, and they can't go loose. They're just so tight. But just don't think and drink more. Since they have that muscle memory thing, their bodies just can't do it.
Yeah.
So I mean, I was lucky that I had fives and left deck and thought I'll just throw off center. And so even though I do have that 20,000 hours of muscle memory, it's all offset.
When you're painting, decorating, doing all these wonderful things on the surface, do you finish one complete piece, or do you have a lot and you work across them?
I finish one piece off.
You finish one piece
Yeah.
off as a composition.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Does that feed in any way into the next piece, or just the?
I think every piece feeds into the next piece. Yeah.
Yes.
And then sometimes you go, oh God, it's become too normal. And I'm doing the same decoration. Oh God. And then I'll go to like 5 years before decoration and start doing that and mixing what, yeah, kind of thing. All go on and just, yeah. I mean, new decoration and stuff, it comes from just, yeah, being on the web or something and think, oh God, I like that. So you go and stick it in.
Yeah, it's when I walked in and I looked at the show first of all, I actually asked Erin, could we talk about your work and Shabui in the same sentence? And there was a kind of a recoiling from that. But I think that there is a kind of a calmness for all of the movement and colour and all the rest of it. And I think that calmness, for me, it seems to talk of a kind of an authoritative of making of pots, you know, that you are actually in charge of those techniques, even if it's not consciously in charge of them, but your body is in charge.
Oh no, I am.
Yeah, and that makes me feel, because I think he knows what he's doing.
So I mean, technically, yeah, I am proficient. I can make what I want to make, but I just shut my brain off.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. New Zealand television's really boring, so I don't watch TV. But in Japan, I used to have a TV in front of my window. Koei-san had the same thing. He used to watch like student baseball like that. It's like, so you're making, but you're not thinking of what you make. So I mean, I listen to audiobooks all the time. I'm listening, thinking more of than what I'm making. So yeah, it's shut my brain off. But technically
That part of
proficient.
your brain,
Well, it's
the other part that doesn't is still working.
yeah.
Yeah.
But it's, I mean, it's probably turn on the I don't give a shit switch. Basically,
Yeah.
don't worry if you make mistakes.
Or let the mistakes happen.
Yes, I was just going to say that you're comfortable enough with what you're doing that you can let mistakes happen. And in fact, you can take the mistake and develop it into something.
Oh, so many interesting things come from mistakes.
Yes, yeah, and in fact, they are almost the only thing that interesting stuff comes from, I think.
Yeah, I mean, always my favorite pots are the ones which are just like, oh God, that's flopping, and you kind of repair it so it's standing up, and they're like, wow, that's so cool.
Yeah, it's you talked about New Zealand television. You use Maori imagery in the work, and I'd like to ask you about how that came into your work and what it signifies for you, and how it's received in New Zealand.
Yeah, so I mean, before the earthquake happened in Japan and the Fukushima meltdown, that's why I moved back to New Zealand, because we're 100 k's away from Fukushima, and our kiwis were really tiny. So we thought, okay, New Zealand's nuclear free, let's go back to New Zealand. But before then, I started reading, I don't know why, it was just like one of those things that happened, and I was reading about that Maori prophet, Rata,
Oh,
that I
yes,
was
so you
telling
were
you
talking about the walk across the country,
before
yeah.
the earthquake happened, and then I actually got into contact with one of the what's a priest for Christian religions? I can't remember the
Prophet
name.
or something, or?
No, just like
No, like a priest.
yeah, a
It's
priest.
a priest.
Yeah, a priest. So I was like a priest of that religion who, yeah, for some reason. So before we came back, I was like really interested in that religion. And then when I came back to New Zealand, decoration is language. So in Japan, all the ceramic collectors that looked at my work, they could see, oh, this is that decoration, this is that decoration. So it's a complete language. I mean, Chinese, like decoration, yeah, it's language, Korean, everything. But then when I came back to New Zealand, people couldn't understand the language. So, yeah, I had a deep, spiritual, connection with that religion in a sense. So that was, it gave me something which New Zealand people could understand as a language. So it was, it was a good connection to work with. And
So that's a kind of entry to work into the work.
Yeah.
To actually move into it.
well, move into the culture of New Zealand.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know what Australian people are like, but New Zealand people like New Zealand things. It's called Kiwiana, I think.
I think we stole that.
Yeah.
Or stole the march on that.
If it has something that is New Zealandy, people are more able to like connect to it and like it.
Yeah. No, well, that's a human.
Yeah.
That's a human.
So yeah, it was like
that
being
you
able
see
to
something that is familiar,
yeah.
and it enables you to actually say, okay, I understand that. That's about how does that relate to you, and you can start to look at it.
Yeah. So I mean, yeah, it's a language.
Yeah. Do you find that as you're making work that sometimes